Good afternoon. So this video is going to talk a little bit about the final for Dragon Eye. And you can see that under the camera here, I already have quite a bit of the drawing, painting done. I did that to save some time. You wouldn't want to see me try to complete the whole thing in one short video. But basically what I've done on watercolor paper, the very heavy stuff, drawn it out lightly in pencil, gone over a lot of my lines with black marker, permanent marker, then gone back in with, believe it or not, some metallic marker here, what looks kind of be a gray-green. That's a permanent marker, okay? And then colored pencil on top of that. Now I can always go back with more color pencil later and more metallic later, after I paint and after the paint surface is dried. But it's kind of nice while you're just beginning and the surface is dry to go ahead and get some of those colors laid in. It kind of gives you a sense of what's going to go where and how colors are going to relate to one another in the final, even though we're not to the final, close to finishing this final yet. Now here is my color study for this design, and it does give me some sense of warm colors here in the iris and cooler colors, greens, to the outside. Yellow goes along well with green, and yellow is definitely a warmer color. So you don't have to restrict yourself if you want to have mostly warm colors in one area but some cool, and mostly cool colors in another area but some warm. You can do that, okay? So just saying, be open to the possibilities. So here we go. I have my water, my brushes, my towel, my markers, and even some kosher salt over here to the left. And I think I want to go ahead and get in here with some green. Now I see that I am missing one of my greens, so let me replace or grab the one I'm missing. And let's go in here to the right of some of these horns. Now remember that I'm right-handed, so it makes sense that I would come in from my right, watching to see where I place things. That's right to me. That's right to me. Remember, I'm turning the paper, watching where I place colors. And of course, because this is a big old piece of paper, I'm being super generous with my colors. Okay, carefully there. Looks like I can go right over my metallics here and not really affect them too much. Matter of fact, that color will probably dissolve away here pretty quick. So let's go ahead and see what this is going to look like. Again, being very generous with the amount of color. Okay, snap the cap so that doesn't dry out. Now I've got a number 10 brush here, which is pretty big, and I'm always making sure that it holds a point, which is what you should do. So let's see what's going to happen here when I dissolve this green color and start pulling it back. You notice that the pencil doesn't move, the metallic marker doesn't move. The only thing that's moving right now would be the watercolor marker, the Crayola marker. And of course, that's the point, isn't it, to get that one to move. A little too much water there. I can always remove water on my towel, go back and pick up that extra water and move it around to another place. If the green's a little bit irregular now, that's okay. There's enough regularity in my drawing and coloring so far that it can make up for any irregularity in the green. I'm going to put some of this yellow down here on top of the base of those horns. And you can see that just that one light green by itself is kind of nice. Now, is that the only green or the only color I want there? Probably not, but for starters, that's okay. And I'm kind of finished up in that top section over there. Now, if I wanted to carry the same green down here to this area, I might have to move the paper, so again, I can come in from my right. And it could be that down here, you see I've intensified and deepen some of the green color there. I think I will do that with the markers as well. This area, I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but we're going to get there soon enough. Do that, and let me come in with this green. So you can see that deepens it considerably. That's getting pretty dramatic. Now let's hit that with a little bit of water and dissolve that, remembering to control the amount of water as you pull against the lip or against the towel. Be careful not to stick your thumb in things that are already wet, which is what I just did. Yeah, you got to be aware of what's there. So I'm just going to go ahead and move that green around. I guess I will cover that up. And let's see what happens when that dries. Let me put this back right ways up and just have a sense of what's happening there. I like that deepening of the color there. Probably some more deepening going to happen up here later on. Just haven't gotten around that yet. Now let me move on to this area of the iris. I want to really make that strong. That's going to be a central area, an area of emphasis. So I want some intensity of color there. Doing a lot with blues and greens to the outside edge, probably more greens appearing over here, probably some of this deeper green passing over beneath the eye and back up again. This little column rising vertically is some smoke. You can assume the dragon's breathing both fire and puffs of smoke there. I want to get in here with some intense reds on top of that orange. Now again, I'm going to position the paper in a way that allows me to come in from my right, being careful not to run my hand through anything wet, and there are some big old wet areas there, man. So let's go ahead and be super generous with the color here. And I'm going to go ahead and add a second color to that. Let me go ahead and add a brighter orange to that. Oops, there goes my finger in the wet stuff again. And I kind of want to avoid this outside edge. I have other plans for that, I think. So again, the same brush, water, pull the brush out of the water, control the amount of water in the brush by pulling against the lip of the container or against the paper towel. Might take some of that color over there. And turn the paper to make it easier for me to go in here, come in here. Now that's a lot of water that I've got. It really did puddle, but I've got some a notion that I'm going to go in there and control that a little bit better later on. Okay, there we go. I'm going to remove some of the paint and water from my brush because it is a little too much water, and then just get in there and spread the available water around and cut in a little more carefully with the tip of the brush. Okay, and I think I'm just going to leave that alone for the time being. All right, and of course as the water dries, it continues to move around a little bit on its own. Colors continue to mix, but that's okay to allow those colors to do their thing because it is watercolor. We kind of want to showcase the nature of the material, yeah, the nature of the medium. So let's see, this is awfully bright and white, and I'd like to have this brow cast a shadow down on here, and I could do that with a little bit of color. And what color shall I use? Well, let's start with this blue. I've got to be careful not to put a wet next to a wet here so the two don't blend together, but I do want to put a little blue in here, and let's see what that little blue does. So you can see that I'm little by little putting down a color and then making another color choice based upon the first color choice. See how that blue just kind of fades out to nothing as I pull it down, being careful not to mix. Let's wash that brush entirely and just take clean water and a not so loaded brush and just kind of fade that out down there, okay? And again, that water will move around a little bit. Maybe it won't have the uniformity or evenness that it has right now, but it's not going to be too bad. I'm going to come over here. I see this little area right here. It might be that I want to take the same blue and do the same thing here or something similar. So I'm going to do that right there. Wash the brush, remove most of the water. I want to use just the tip of the brush to control things. And I think that's all I'm going to do right there, okay? Maybe take some of that blue that's loaded in the brush right over there. All right, so still working on this. Let's get some green over here to this side. I might start with this lighter green, come at the top. I want to avoid the smoke if I can. We're going to paint up to the edge of the smoke. And then I'm going to go in with a deeper green right down here. Have those two kind of blend together. You notice that I'm holding on with my left hand to the paper to keep it from moving around, okay? Important that you use your non-dominant hand, probably your left hand if you're right-handed like me, to control the paper, to pin it down and to make sure it doesn't slip around on you. So there's that light green, using the tip of your brush, dissolving that green there, dissolving this green while we're at it. The pencil that's already on the paper, the permanent marker that's already on the paper is not going to go anywhere, it's staying put. So that at least you don't have to worry about. You do have to worry about being careful. You don't want to give anybody the idea that you don't know how to handle your tools or your materials. That would not be good craftsmanship, would it? You're convincing your audience that you know exactly what you're doing with a message that you know exactly what it is to convey, okay? So not done yet, but you get the idea. When this dries, I'm going to reevaluate it and come back again and see what more I can do with it. I don't really like what I see right here. It's not complete. I'm pretty sure that the greens are not complete yet. I doubt that this brow is complete. I doubt that this white portion of the eye, the sclera, is complete yet. So pretty much I plan on coming back and revisiting all these areas so I can continue to build my surface. That said, I'm going to stop the video right now. Perhaps later on I will upload a photograph on Google Classroom of the finished example of this, just the photo, not a video, so you can see how this progressed over time. In the meanwhile, you try.